I'm Spencer Mazyck, and joining me now is lawyer turned teacher of the Alexander Technique, Krueger. She's nationally certified and teaches the technique in the greater New York City area. Welcome, Karen. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you, Spencer. It's great to be here.
So, Karen, first, for folks out there who may not know, can you tell us what is the Alexander Technique?
The Alexander Technique is a set of skills that you can learn to take care of yourself. It's really good for learning how to sit without a lot of strain, how to move without compressing yourself, how to have good posture. And it's also used very extensively in the performing arts community. I think that's where it's best known in this country. The teacher with whom I first studied, Jessica Wolf, is on the faculty at the Yale Drama School and at Juilliard and all the major arts institutions in this country. The Alexander Technique is part of the curriculum.
So it changes the way that we think about and respond to certain things. It almost re-educates the body and mind in some ways. Is that right?
That's exactly right. Some people call it kinesthetic re-education. And we say re-education because it's really teaching you the things you already knew when you were a baby. So as a child develops, you think about a little baby who's just learning to walk. They don't slump.
Yes.
Right? When they sit in a chair, they have this beautiful erect spine, and it's no big deal at all. They've got this gigantic heads compared to you and me, balancing right there very easily. So they have that, and then over time we lose it. We react to the stresses of life. We react to having a computer in front of us all day long. We react to all the things around us, and we lose touch with that innate knowledge of the body. So an Alexander Technique teacher helps you become aware of these things that you're doing, teaches you a very simple process for just giving yourself a little bit of extra time before you react to things, and think about how to go about doing them in an easier, more natural, more efficient way.
So before we go into any greater detail about the technique, I want to talk about your legal career.
Sure.
Because how many years did you practice as an attorney, and where did you practice?
25 years. 20 of those years were at Wachtell, Lipton, Rosen Katz, and 5 at Patterson, Belknap, Webb, and Tyler.
So you were a partner there for many years at Wachtell.
Yeah.
So did you enjoy practicing law?
I did. It was extremely stressful. You know, Wachtell, Lipton is a place where people work very hard, under a lot of deadline pressure a lot of the time, but it was very stimulating, very fascinating and interesting. I worked with a lot of really smart people, both in the firm and clients. So it was very rewarding.
What kind of law did you practice?
I was in the area of employee benefits and compensation, so I negotiated CEO contracts, I worked on severance deals, I did golden parachutes, all kinds of really interesting stuff. But a lot of the practice was centered around transactional work, mergers and acquisitions, which is, of course, Wachtell Lipton's specialty.
Yeah, bread and butter there.
Yeah, exactly.
So at what point during your career, though, were you introduced to the Alexander Technique?
Well, this was towards the end. I began to experience a lot of pain. It was neck pain and headaches, and it got so bad that I actually had to take time off. I took 8 months off, disability leave, and then
purely stemming from the neck pain and headaches.
Yes, I would get into such pain that I couldn't even sit up, let alone deal with working. So I realized I couldn't function as a lawyer if I never knew when I was going to be available. So I wasn't making any progress with, medications and all the treatment I was seeking out. So I decided to take some time off and explore things like physical therapy and meditation and yoga. I got into all kinds of stuff to try to help myself. And in the course of that, I was connected with the Alexander Technique by a friend of mine who knew about it.
Were you at all skeptical at first? I mean, what were your initial thoughts and impressions?
Well, it was the kind of thing that I would probably never have been interested in if there had been a pill that worked, You get desperate, you'll try anything. However, by the time I heard about it, I had already figured out that I was doing things to myself in the way I dealt with life that were, I didn't know if they were causing the pain. I still don't really know that, but it was making it worse. So just to give you a very simple example, when I was in my office, every time the phone rang, I went like this. Slight exaggeration, but I knew that I was doing all this tension, in reaction to things.
But was it because of what you thought might be on the other end of that phone call? I mean, was there some stress from work and pressure there?
It was definitely stress from work, I think it got kind of Pavlovian with the bell ringing and all of that, but yeah, it was the need to be constantly reacting to stuff, and my way of dealing with the stress, which is a part of life after all, was to compress myself and to tighten. And I've learned that a lot of us do that. So anyway, I figured that out, and I wanted to learn how to not do those things. And I was trying, as I said, all these different modalities. And I was yoga, physical therapy. They all were kind of semi-helpful, but none of them did anything other than undo the damage temporarily. And then when I found myself back out in a real life situation, it was right back to the same reactions. So what I heard about the Alexander technique that caught my attention was that it teaches you to change how you react to things.
So what were some of the immediate benefits, though, after you tried the technique for yourself?
The immediate benefits were getting a sense that, oh yeah, this is actually something I can take charge of and change. Because I had felt like, okay, I do these things, I don't know how to change, and it was such a visceral reaction. And, if you hear a loud noise in the street, you tense up. It's hardwired into our systems, and I couldn't figure out how to get past that until I was shown this. It's a really very simple thing. It takes some time to learn how to do it in life. But from the very first lesson, I felt, okay, first of all, spending some time with the teacher, I walked out feeling much lighter, taller, freer. When I went to bed that night, I remember thinking, oh my goodness, I'm really in contact with my mattress in a whole new way. I mean, it sounds funny, but I just realized how much, even in bed, how much muscle tension I was holding. And I had let go of some of it with the teacher. So that told me, okay, I'm onto something here. The other thing that really appealed to me is that the Alexander technique uses our conscious thinking process to bring about change. So for someone who is from a legal background and very, analytical and wanting things to make sense in a mental kind of way, this was more accessible to me than some more Eastern influenced things like energy work and yoga, all of which I think have a lot of validity, but they were not as immediately accessible to my kind of mentality.
Tangible in a way that you could understand it.
Yeah, and so that first session, I said, well, this person knows how to do something, she can teach me how to do it, and this is going to make me feel better.
Well, so Karen, tell me this, how did you arrive at the decision to leave law, which you had been practicing for many years, to become a teacher of the Alexander technique?
Well, my life kind of was topsy-turvy for a while there, including on the personal front and on the professional front, because I had taken all that time off and I went back to it and I was working part-time, so I was trying to figure out kind of what the next step for me was. And I had always felt, really from the beginning, that I didn't expect to practice law until I was, ready to be carried out horizontally, as they say. That there would come a time in my life. I have a lot of things I'm interested in doing, and I didn't, I could imagine being a lawyer until I was in midlife, and then I thought there would be a career change, but I had no idea what it would be. And really what happened was, through the process of going through my own learning, I realized this is great, and I came to understand that this is something I could teach other people. So pretty much all of a sudden I decided, you know what, I can afford to stop practicing law.
I was going to ask you, at that time in your career, though, were there any financial considerations about leaving law firm practice?
Well, I had been a partner for quite a while, and Wachtell Lipton is a very profitable law firm, and
So you had saved up a substantial amount of money?
Yeah, I had saved up enough money that I didn't have to earn my living anymore. So why the heck not? So I also knew that although I was ready to stop practicing law, I didn't want to just sit at the beach all the time. This is not me. I wanted something to do. I wanted to be learning something and growing. So I entered a training program. It's a 3-year training program.
And where did you train?
The American Center for the Alexander Technique, which is here in New York on 14th Street. It's the oldest such organization in the United States. And so I enrolled.
What did training entail?
It's a total of 1,600 hours over the course of 3 years. The training program is at half-time, so for one 3-month period I was going to the training program in the morning and to the office in the afternoon.
Still at Wachtell then?
Still at Wachtell, part-time. And after 3 months of that, the semester was over and I assessed and I thought, I am really fascinated by what I'm doing in the morning and it makes me feel good. And I've kind of had enough of what I'm doing in the afternoon. I'm really ready to let go of it. And then I saw that I could afford to stop, so I stopped, and I haven't looked back. That was 2008 that I stopped.
Stopped.
Yeah.
Well, so tell me now, who are your students? Who are your typical clients?
They cover a wide range, and that's one of the things I love about it, because this is something that really can offer something to no matter what you do, this offers something for you. So I have partners in law firms. I have.
Were you able to get any of those Wachtell partners in there?
Yes, yes.
That's great.
It's a hard sell because it takes time,
Yes.
but they have the money, and my office is 2 blocks from there, so that helps.
That's convenient.
Yeah, so I've had legal secretaries, and they love that I know what they're going through. I had one guy for a while who was a transit worker, pretty much everything.
And is it expensive, though, to take your classes or sessions?
It's actually, I think it's ridiculously cheap. Now, my perspective is a little bit
Skewed
by the hourly rate that they used to charge for my services, but I currently charge $60 for 45 minutes.
Okay.
Which, that's just real money for some people. For my target audience of lawyers, it's nothing. I mean, I like to say the thing you need time and you need a little bit of money, and lawyers have plenty of money and no time. So that's the hard sell with lawyers. But honestly, I think it's so empowering and it's so supportive of what you do. It's really worth it. For example, I found when I was taking lessons and still practicing, it really helped my negotiating skills.
Oh, wow, really? How so?
Well, I started to notice my physical reactions to the negotiating process and how I would sometimes hold my breath or feel angry or anxious, and it would show up in physical reactions. And when I learned to say, I could keep breathing, I don't have to get all tense. I could let go of it.
Probably made you a better poker player. You had a better poker face in those situations.
It's funny you say that, because I have a student now who is actually a poker player. He goes to Vegas and plays poker regularly, and just this week he was telling me that the last time he went, the last few weeks, he won the whole time. And he thinks it's because his presentation is better and people see him, he bluffs better because he's confident.
Because he's confident and they can't tell that he's stressed. But what do you want people to know most about the Alexander technique?
I want them to know that it's enhances your well-being on many levels. It enhances your enjoyment of day-to-day life. And it enables you to stop hurting yourself with these unconscious habits. And whether you come and have a few sessions and learn something and that's it, or you get hooked on it like me and spend the rest of your life involved with it, no matter what, any amount of acquaintance with it is useful. The best way to understand it is to come try it out with a certified teacher.
Well, and you're going to be continuing to teach for the foreseeable future, is that right?
Yeah. I mean, every time I teach, I feel better afterwards than when I started. I'm continually interested in what's happening in the learning process. I like to teach mostly one-on-one, and people are fascinating. People have their own stories, and their learning processes are individual, and so I get to explore with them how they learn, what they want to learn, what problems they're trying to solve. I mean, in that respect, it's really like being a lawyer. Except I have to say, I had clients say to me after talking to me, okay, that's good, you've helped me solve my problem, that's good. But I never had anyone go, oh my God, I feel so much better. It's very rewarding for me to be able to help people with that. Yeah.
Well, thanks so much for joining us today. I've learned so much today.
Thank you.
We appreciate it.
It's my pleasure.
For more information on this or other topics, subscribe to BloombergLaw.com. You can follow us on Facebook and Twitter. Thank you for joining us. Bye, everybody.